Good morning, everybody. Today, inshallah, we will uh, start talking about the third step in essay writing. Last time I received your assignment. I do prefer that you should write your specific details in the form of points. Points, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and etc. And I'd like you in the future, inshallah, when you make a diagram or a plan for your essay, write more than, imagine, for example, you have 3 main points. Under each point, you should write as much points or ideas or details as you can, because the next step, as we said, you should make a kind of refinement for these points, for these topics. You can exclude some, you can merge some, and so on. So yeah, write them in terms of points, because in the next step, inshallah, you are going to develop each point as a specific detail in the paragraph بمشيئة الله. Now, the third step in essay writing, today, inshallah, we are going to talk about the methods of organizing the details. How can we organize the details in the paragraph? And also, we are going to talk about transition words. Transition words, and you have to use the correct or the appropriate transition words in writing. We are going, inshallah, to present different types of transition words and how can we use them efficiently in our writing بمشيئة الله. Now, the organization of your essay, how can we organize the specific details, and how can we connect also these specific details? As you are generating the specific details needed to support a thesis, you should be thinking about ways to organize and connect those details. Okay, you have suggested 6-7 details for the major detail. Last time, if you remember, we talked about major details and minor details. Now, we suggest minor details in order to support the major details, a major detail. Now, all right, I have suggested the specific details. I have write them down. I have written them down. All right, the next stage, the next step is how to organize these details from the most important till the least important, or shall I reorder them according to time? Imagine, for example, you are writing a process essay. Imagine, let's say, how to make pizza. You have to use different steps. Number 1, you have first, do blah, blah, blah. Second, third, fourth, and finally. So we have steps. And these steps must be chronologically ordered. When I'm saying chronologically ordered, they must be ordered according to time. And we have to make sure that I have to use the appropriate transition words in order to connect these details together, because your paragraph at the end must be what? Must be coherent, and your essay as a whole must be coherent in general. So I have to use the transition words in order to maintain cohesion and coherence at the end of the paragraph. We will see how بمشيئة الله. Now, all the details in your essay must cohere or stick together so that your reader will be able to move smoothly from one bit of supporting information to the next. they must be coherent. They must be stick together. How can we do that? By using the appropriate transition words. By using the appropriate transition words. Now, let's discuss two methods. We have two common methods of organization. Two common methods of organization. We have time order or chronological order. Simply means that details are listed as they occur in time. First, this is done. Second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. Next, this is done. Then this is done. After that, this is done, and so on. So you are talking about steps, and these steps must be ordered in terms of time. First we should do that. In the second stage, we do that. In the third stage, in the fourth stage, and so on. To exercise successfully, you should follow a simple plan consisting of arranging the time, making preparations, and warming up properly. Now, this is a thesis statement. To exercise successfully, you should follow a simple plan consisting of arranging the time, making preparations, and warming up properly. Now, three main ideas. The next step is to develop these three ideas or details into full sentences. Look at the transition words here. To begin with, set aside a regular hour for exercise. To begin with, look at this transition word here. To begin with. Next. Now this will be the first paragraph. So this is the major detail, and under this major detail you have to add minor details in order to support this major detail. Next, look at this transition words here. Prepare for your exercise session. Next. Finally, do a series of warm-up activities. So we have three transition words. To begin with, next, and finally. Now this is the first one. So the first method, which is time order or chronological order, we order the details according to time. Number two, we call it the emphatic order. It's sometimes described as saving the best till the last. Saving the best till the last. Saving the best till the last. Till last. Saving the best till last. It is a way to put emphasis on the most interesting or important detail by placing it in the last part of a paragraph or in the final supporting paragraph of an essay. So the most important information will be at the end of the paragraph. So you start your paragraph with the less important details, then the important details. At the end, you have to put the most important details, right? We call it the inverted pyramid. Inverted pyramid. You know the pyramid? Inverted pyramid. You start from the less important, then important, then the most important. And by the way, we do the same in writing news reports or news in general. In media, they use this way. They use this method in writing news sometimes. It is a very, as we said, you put more emphasis or more focus or the most important details. We keep them till the end of the paragraph or till the end of the essay. In cases where all the details seem equal in importance, the writer should impose a personal order that seems logical or appropriate. Imagine you are writing about COVID-19 or um, the outbreak of COVID-19 and the reasons of the outbreak or the spread of COVID-19, and you presented wallahi 2 or 3 minor details, and you think that wallahi all these details are equals. For example, people do not adhere to the health measures proposed by the government, for example. That means they do not wear gloves, masks, etc. The second detail could be, people do not abide by the social distance. They do not keep a space between themselves, right? Yeah. People, for example, the third, for example, detail could be, some people still believe that they have a belief that COVID-19 is not existed. Yeah, in the society we may have. Till now, we have some people. I have some friends in Jordan. Till now, they reject the idea of COVID-19. However, there are so many infections and so on, millions of infections all over the world. So many people have been died as a result of COVID-19, but they are unconvinced of the idea of COVID-19. Now, here we have 3 details. Now, you think that, wallahi, all 3 details are very important. They are equal in importance. So what should you do as a writer here? You should impose a personal order. Impose your personal order. Wallahi, I think that the idea that people do not convince of or do not believe that there is a virus called COVID-19 must be the first one. The second one, they do not take the necessary precautionary measurements. Number 3, they do not abide by the social distance. So yeah, this is your personal order, which is somehow logical or appropriate. Now, the last position in a paper is the most emphatic, which is here we are talking about the conclusion, bimashiatillah. And the conclusion is the most emphatic position, is the most emphatic part in the essay, because we have the summary, because we have the most important information that you are going to tell us, the summary of what you have mentioned in the introduction, paragraph 1, 2, 3. Now you have the conclusion. In the conclusion, you have to include the most emphatic information or the most important information or a summary of what has been discussed in the essay. So the last position in a paper is the most emphatic position. Why? Because the reader is most likely to remember the last thing read. We use transition words like finally, last of all, and most important are typical words or phrases showing emphasis. Do you have any questions so far? Any question, any comment? No questions? Good. All right. Now, here is an outline of an essay in this book that uses emphatic order. Celebrities, celebrities, singers, actors, actresses, sport players, and those who are very famous in the society nowadays, lead very stressful lives. Celebrities lead very stressful lives. This is the thesis statement. And The supporting details here, number one, for one thing, look at the transition words. Celebrities do not have the privacy an ordinary person does. In addition, celebrities are under constant pressure. Look at the transition words here. For one thing, in addition, most important, this is emphatic order. Celebrities must deal with the stress of being in constant danger. So we have here this order, we call it the emphatic order. This is the emphatic, this is an example on the emphatic order. Okay, this is an emphatic order of an essay. Now, some essays use a combination of time order and emphatic order. So either to use the emphatic order, either to use the time order or chronological order, or you can use both. If this depends on the type of the essay, on the types of the supporting details that you are using, right? Let's move to transitions. You can find these transitions in your book on page 130. Transitions signal the direction of a writer's thoughts. They are like the road signs that guide travelers. Remember this word. They are like the road signs that guide travelers. Imagine you would like to go from Sharjah to Dubai. You will find a lot of road signs, right? This is Dira, for example. This is Global Village from here, Burj Khalifa from here, the Dubai Mall from here, right? You will, road signs, yani, provide us with very important information or directions that we need. The same as transitions, which that signal the direction of the writer's thought. And are you doing addition? Are you doing referring to time? Are you referring to space? Are you referring to change of direction? Are you changed to refer, sorry, to illustration, to conclusion, to reason, etc. We will look at so many transition words here. We have common transitions, addition signals, such as one, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. The first reason, the second reason, etc. Also, next, and in addition, moreover, further, furthermore, finally, last, similarly, likewise, as well, to, besides. These are addition words. If you'd like to add a new thought, a new information, you can use these transitions. In addition to that, or further, moreover, he will, blah, blah, blah. Time signals, we use also first, then, next, after, as before, while, meanwhile, soon, now, during, finally, after a while, as soon as, at that time, by then, during, since, suddenly, then, thereafter, by then, in a few hours, by that time, etc. Now, space signals, next to, across, on the opposite side, to the left, to the right, above, below, near, nearby, beside, on the top of, under, over, underneath, far from. And I'd like you to print out, please, print out these transition words and keep them in front of you when you write an essay. Please, print them out, and you can put them on your table or in front of you when you write your essay, because they will help you a lot. They will help you a lot. And why do we, again, why do we use transition words. What are the benefits of transition words? The benefit of transition words is to connect the details together in order to have cohesion and coherence at the same time. Cohesion at the paragraph level and coherence at the essay level. Coherence is something logical. Coherence, what's the difference between cohesion and coherence? I think you hear these two concepts so many times, but the majority of you do not understand what's the difference between cohesion and coherence. Cohesion, it is grammatical. When we talk about cohesion, we talk about grammar. We talk about grammar and semantics. Grammar and semantics. That means we use transition words to connect sentences together in a paragraph or in a text. And it will be at the paragraph level. Yani when we have cohesion, that means your sentences are grammatical and they are well connected together and smoothly with the correct transition words, and the semantic meaning is acceptable. And if you are talking about wallahi change of direction, don't use wallahi addition word, addition transition. Don't use illustration transition. You have to use the correct or the right transition words in order to have the correct or the adequate or the required meaning in the paragraph or in the essay. So this is for the cohesion. So when we talk about cohesion, it is grammatical and semantics. Now when we talk about coherence, it's logical. We are talking about pragmatics, and coherence will be at the text level as a whole. Imagine you read an essay, a short story, a news report, any piece of writing. Now sometimes when you read an essay, you will have an idea that wallahi, oh my God, يعني there are some ideas يعني that could be irrelevant to the main idea. So why the writer includes wallahi this idea here? This idea must not be included here. So at this time we are talking about logic. We are talking about coherence. We are talking about coherence. So coherence, it's logical and at the pragmatic level, and it will be at the text level in general. Have you got the idea? Alhamdulillah. Now, change of direction signals next to across change of direction signal, but opposite here. But, however, yet, in contrast, although otherwise, still, on the contrary, on the other hand, nevertheless, instead, nonetheless, otherwise, even though. Now, illustration signals, for example, for instance, specifically as an illustration, once such as conclusion signals, therefore, consequently, thus, then, as a result, in summary, to conclude, last, and finally. We have also other transition words. We call them conjunctive adverbs and transitional phrases. Transitional phrases. A conjunctive adverb is a word that, when used after a semicolon, connects to independent main clauses. A transitional phrase is a group of words that, when used after a semicolon, connects to independent main clauses. Look at these examples here. Conjunctive adverb. Napoleon successfully invaded Russia in 1812. Semicolon. However, comma, he didn't occupy it for long. Now you have to pay attention to punctuation. Punctuation is very important here. And inshallah, we are going to talk about punctuation later on when we talk about proofreading بمشيئة. But now, from now on, you have to take care of punctuation. However, therefore, we need a semicolon before and a comma after. In fact, look here. Transitional phrases. Jane Page made major contributions to child psychology. Page. In fact, look, semicolon. He proved that children and adults reason differently. Look here. In fact, have semicolon, comma. However, semicolon, comma. So these punctuation marks are very, very important. Like transitional words, conjunctive adverbs, we call these conjunctive adverbs, and traditional phrases signal the direction also of the writer's thoughts and guide the reader. Again, however, that means you mention an opposite idea. An opposite idea here, the same as this one, change of direction signals, right? You can use however, but, yet, etc. Now, regarding the punctuation, as I said, inshallah, we are going to talk about punctuation marks, how to use commas, how to use semicolons, how to use periods, and so on, because they are very important in writing. But as I told you, I keep this till we reach the section about proofreading. بمشيئة الله. Now, transitional sentences or linking sentences are used between paragraphs to help tie together the supporting paragraphs in an essay. They enable the reader to move smoothly from one idea in one paragraph to the idea in the next paragraph. Now, here is the linking sentence used in the essay movie going. Look at this sentence here. Many of the other patterns are even more of a problem than the concession stand. Here we have a linking sentence. A linking sentence must be relevant to the topic of the essay. It must connect what has been said before and what is going to be said after, right? So this linking sentence, the aim of this sentence must link what has been said before with what is going to said after. So this is the aim of a linking sentence. Sometimes we use a linking sentence in order to connect what has been said before with what is going to be said next. But what is the aim of that? Why do we use these sentences in writing? The aim is to keep coherence, to maintain coherence. Coherence is very important. Unity, coherence. Remember this. Coherence. Coherence, that means all the ideas in your essay are relevant to each other. They are in a chronological order or in emphatic order. You make sure that you are not going to include any information which could be or can be irrelevant to the topic of the essay. Why? If you do that, this will affect the coherence or the unity of your essay. And imagine, even in spoken discourse, guys, imagine you are, or someone is telling you a story about, let's say, a car accident, right? About a car accident. And wallahi, yesterday there was, for example, yesterday in Jordan, there was a car accident 3 people were died and 2 were injured, severely injured, يعني in a car accident, right? So this is a story. And imagine someone is telling you the story, and suddenly, wallahi, he starts talking about, wallahi, for the fashion, it's nice to wear wearing X t-shirt, for example, or X trousers, or oh my God, directly you will look at him or at her, and you will say, oh my God, but what is the relationship between the car accident and the fashion, or wearing a t-shirt or a short or whatsoever? There is no connection at all, right? So you must make sure that every single word, every single phrase, every single sentence, or a detail that you add to your writing must be relevant to the topic, to the thesis statement, right? Sometimes I know some of you, they said that, well, I'd like, for example, the required is 400 words, so I have to include any extra information in order to reach to 400 words. No, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. Okay, if you'd like to add information which can be relevant to the topic. Don't add information, any information, wallahi. This may affect, by the way, this may affect negatively the value of your essay. Yani don't think that by adding, wallahi, this sentence or this phrase or this paragraph, and wallahi, it's a matter of it's a matter of a word limits. And wallahi, the more you write, the higher your grade will be. No, don't think that. Don't think that. So say as much as required. Do you remember Grice maxims? Have you studied pragmatics? Have you studied pragmatics? Have you studied a pragmatic course? Pragmatics. Yeah, pragmatics. There is Grice maxims. He said that the conversational maxims. He called them conversational maxims. He said that you should focus, number one, on the quality. Quality means what? You have to say what is true. 2, quantity. Say as much required as possible. If I ask you what's your name, don't tell me, wallahi, my name is Hala and I am 20 years old. I am, for example, let's say UAE Emirati, or I have 2 sisters, 3 brothers, my father is. No, I'm not asking you to give me these details. I'm asking you, what's your name? My name is Hala. That's it. Full stop. So don't give or provide information more than required. Number 3, the manner. The manner, that means, all the information that you present should be true. Should be true. And finally, you have to be concise or clear. That means you should avoid ambiguity. You should avoid ambiguity. And this can be applicable to writing. You have to say as much as required, as much words as required. Number 2, you have to make sure that the information that you include in your essay are correct. Don't invent any information from your mind. It's not a matter of inventing or talking about things which are not existed. Why? Because you have to make sure that you will not be able to fool your readers. Your readers, some of them, they are educated, and they can know, or they can recognize that you are cheating us, right? And this is true, by the way. And sometimes some writers, they wrote and say he or she writes an essay, and after few hours, a lot of comments will be arised against him or her, and no, wallah, you are telling lie. This information is inadequate. You have to make sure. And when you refer, for example, imagine we are talking about COVID-19. For imagine, wallahi, you say that, wallahi, 1 million people died in the UAE as a result of COVID-19. And directly all of us will say that, who said that? Where did you get this information? What is the source of the information? You are cheating us. You are cheating us, right? So make sure that, imagine, this is an example, ya hala, okay? And you have to make sure that your readers, for example, your readers are educated and they can recognize or distinguish what is right and what is, let's say, wrong. Don't say that. Don't say that, wallahi, COVID-19 is not existed. It is, wallahi, a game, for example, or it is a fake. Nobody will believe you, right? Nobody will believe you because the answer will be, look, I have been infected, for example. My family have been infected. My friends have been infected. I lost a relative. I lost a friend as a result of COVID-19, right? The hospitals are full of people who are infected by this virus. And we have so many lockdowns all over the world, and the economy in the world have been collapsed as a result of COVID-19, right? So you can't say things like these, right? So this is what I mean. You have the information that you provide must be correct. Must be correct. Don't cheat us. Don't think that you can cheat your readers. No. Because some of your readers, or the majority of them, they are cleverer than you, right? So also, when you provide information, you should make sure that this information is very clear. This information is very clear. You are saying that, wallahi, 1 million people have died as a result of, or 700,000 people have died as a result of COVID-19. Where? You should tell us where. In the USA, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa. All right? You have to make sure that you provide clear information for your readers. And again, don't think that your readers can expect or can understand what you are talking about. And wallahi, it's known. And wallahi, COVID-19 is dangerous. Okay, tell me how. Don't suppose that I know. Tell me, convince me how it is dangerous. Because as we said, some people in the society, they still have an idea that wallahi, COVID-19 is not existed. So type, okay, how can I convince them, wallahi, it is existed? Right? Yeah. That's right, ya hala. You must be also make sure that your message is not poorly delivered. Right? Because your job is to convince them. To convince them what I'm saying is true. I have evidence, I have statistics, I have facts, I have quotations of some officials, for example, in the Ministry of Health and so on. So I'm talking in a logical and reasonable way to attract my readers. Now, examples are look, this is the thesis statement. The most memorable sites I visited in Washington, D.C. were the Capitol building. Do you remember 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? Some people attacked the Capitol building in the USA, and they enter inside the Capitol, and there was a kind of a chaos there. All right, the Lincoln Memorial and the Vietnam Memorial. Now, this is the thesis. The first supporting detail here, our first stop was Capitol. Look at that transition word. Our first stop was Capitol Hill, the very sample of our democratic system, and blah, 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 blah. The first supporting detail, after leaving the Capitol, we walked along the mall to Lincoln. This is a transition word. This is the importance of a transition words. After leaving the Capitol, here, this is the linking sentence. This is a linking sentence. Now, we talked about linking sentences. So the link sentence here, link what has been said before with what is going to be said after. So I connect the previous paragraph with the next paragraph. After leaving the Capitol, we walked along the mall to Lincoln Memorial. Second supporting هذا paragraph. A short distance to the right of the Lincoln Memorial is the Vietnam Memorial. Look, again, we use a linking sentence here. A linking sentence. So if we look at these linking sentences, we can see that our transitional sentences or linking sentences, use the way, call them the way you like, linking sentences or transitional sentences. And it's very important. It helps me a lot in connecting my paragraphs together, connecting what has been said before with what has been said after. Have you got the idea of linking sentences or transitional sentences? So we have transition words and we have transitional sentences. Any questions, any comments? All right. No questions. Let's move to the next one. Now, other connecting words. In addition to transitions, there are 3 other kinds of connecting words that help tie together the specific evidence in a paper. In addition to transition words, there are 3 other kinds of connecting words that help tie together the specific detail in a paper. The first one are repeated words, then pronouns, then synonyms. We are going to talk about them in details. Repeated words, we repeat the same word in different places in the paragraph in order to make cohesion. In order to make cohesion. One reason for studying psychology is to help you deal with your children. Perhaps your young daughter refuses to go to bed. When you want her to burst into tears at the least mention of lights out, a little knowledge of psychology. Again, we have repetition of the word psychology. Comes in handy. Offer her a choice of staying up until 7:30 with you or going upstairs and playing until 8. Since she gets to make the choice, she doesn't feel so powerless and will resist. Psychology is also useful in rewarding a child for a job well done. Instead of telling your 10-year-old son what a good boy he is when he makes his own bed, tell him how neat it looks, how happy you are to see it, and how proud of him you are for doing it by himself. The psychology books, look, psychology, psychology, psychology. We repeat the same word different times in the paragraph in order to maintain cohesion. In order to maintain cohesion. Other way you can use pronouns, anaphoric, cataphoric, and exophoric. Pronouns. Pronouns. You know the pronouns he, she, it, you, they, this, that, and others. This, that, these, those, etc. Another way for people to economize at an amusement park is to bring their own food. Their here refers to people, right? If they pack a nourishing, they refer to people. Well-balanced lunch of cold chicken, carrot sticks, and fruit, they again refer to people. They will avoid having to pay high prices for hamburgers and hot dogs. They again refers to people. Will also save on calories also instead of filling up on soft drinks. They again refers to people. Should bring a thermos of iced tea. Iced tea is more refreshing than soda, and it here refers to iced tea. It is a great deal cheaper. Every dollar that is not spent at a refreshment stand is one that can be spent on another ride. One here. Every dollar, one, right? Yeah, so if we look at this paragraph here, we can see how the use of the anaphoric devices or the pronouns will help a lot in connecting or linking sentences or details together in the paragraph. So the use of pronouns is very, very important. And we use pronouns in order to keep cohesion or to maintain cohesion. Now, I think you have a course called discourse analysis, and in discourse analysis, you should study cohesion and the cohesive devices. Cohesion and the cohesive devices. Cohesion, when we, the cohesive devices are the use of pronouns, anaphoric pronouns, or cataphoric pronouns, you know the pronouns. Number two, substitution. Substitution like one here. This is the substitution. We substitute one instead of dala. So instead of saying dala, we say one. Another device also we use ellipsis. Ellipsis. I drink Turkish coffee. She does. And she does. That means and she drinks a cup of coffee. I drink a cup of coffee and she does. She does, that means she drinks a cup of coffee. Here we call this ellipsis, and we use this device in order as a cohesive device. Also, repeated words could be or can be one of the cohesive devices. We repeat the word. And the use of synonyms also. The use of synonyms, again, can be used as a cohesive device in order to maintain cohesion in the paragraph. Now, synonyms. You know the word synonyms. Synonyms in Arabic means al-mutaradifat. Two words that have the same meaning, or that share the same aspects of meaning. Alike in meaning, using synonyms can also help move the reader easily from one thought to the next. In addition, the use of synonyms increases variety and interest by avoiding needless repetition. But I'd like to tell you something about synonyms. You have to keep in mind that we do not have complete synonyms in any language in the world. It's impossible to have complete synonyms in any language in the world. So you have to be careful when you use synonyms. I'll give you an example from Arabic. عطشان ظمآن. عطشان ظمآن. These two words are completely different. Okay, they are synonyms, or they share some aspects of the meaning, but the degree of thirsty here, it's different. In the first one, you are thirsty, which is usual. But in the second one, ضمآن, that means you are very thirsty, very thirsty. So this is why we say that, and we have gradable synonyms. Gradable synonyms. Arabic is full of examples. We have hub, we have ashq, we have gharam, we have hiyam, we have, every one of them has a certain degree, right? And in English, we have give, we have grant, give, grant. Again, they shared some aspects of meaning, but again, you have to make sure when you use them interchangeably, and you have to make sure they do not cover the same aspects of meaning. Here, technique, procedure, way, in certain contexts could be referred to the same thing, but in other contexts could be not. So this is why you have to be careful, right? Several methods of fundraising work well with small organizations. One technique, right? Is to hold an auction with everyone either contributing an item from home or obtaining a donation from a sympathetic local merchant, because all of the merchandise and the services of the auctioneer have been donated. The entire proceeds can be placed in the organization's treasury. A second fundraising procedure here, look, technique, procedure, is a car wash. Club members and their children get together on a Saturday and wash all the cars in the neighborhood for a few dollars a piece. A third time tested way to raise money is to hold a bake sale, with each family contributing homemade cookies, brownies, layer cakes, cupcakes, etc., sold by the piece or by the box. These baked goods will satisfyingly fill both the stomach and the pocketbook. Now, if we look here again, the use of synonyms solve the problem of cohesion, and it maintains cohesion in the paragraph. Okay? Any questions, any comment? Any question? Any question? No questions. طيب. Next time, inshallah, we will start talking about the introductory paragraph. The introduction is very important. Now, from now on, guys, you should go back to your topic, the topic that you selected. Do you remember the topic that you selected? I asked you to select a topic, to write a thesis statement and 3 supporting details. You should revise them and send them back to me, right? Send them back to me. I'd like to see your thesis statement and your supporting details. Now, from now on, you should start the process of writing. You should start the process of writing. Now, you will start with writing the introduction. You know, the introduction is the first part, of the essay, and it is, يعني, we start the essay with the introduction. So the introduction should be one of the most parts of the essay. Why? Because it is the first part that your readers will read, right? If they like the topic, they will continue reading. If they don't like the topic, they will throw it away, right? The introductory, we are going to talk about the introductory. Yaqeen, we are going to talk about the introductory, but don't send me anything now. Don't send me anything now, but I'd like to make sure that you have written your own thesis statement and you have written 3 supporting details. All right? This is what I'd like to make sure. I'd like to make sure that you have written your thesis statement plus 3 supporting details. Why? Because inshallah you are going now the process of writing. You should write the next time, inshallah, you should write after we study the introduction and how to write the introduction, you should send me the introduction, then the body of the essay, and then now I'm quite sure that we talk about the body of the essay. We talk about paragraph writing, how to write a paragraph, how to write a topic sentence, how to write supporting, major details, minor details, and how to connect these details together by using transition words. So we talked about this. So I suppose that the following, and wallah, you have written your body. It says body. You have written your essay's body. You should start from now writing the body of your essay. All right? Writing the body of your essay. No. The topic that you select. Yeah, Sarah, the topic that you select. In the first class, we said that you have to select a topic and you should write a thesis statement. Then you should write 3 supporting details, 3 major supporting details on this topic, plus each major detail. Under each major detail, you should also write minor details in order to support the major detail. All right? Any questions, any comment? Okay, so next time, inshallah, I will start talking about the introductory paragraph, the importance of the introductory paragraph, the functions of the introductions, and what are the important roles of the introduction, such as it attracts the reader's interest, encouraging him or her to continue reading the essay. It supplies any background information that the reader may need to understand the essay. It presents a thesis statement. Now, when we talked about the thesis statement, if you remember, we said that the place of your thesis statement must be in your introduction. It must be the last sentence in your introduction. Now, your thesis statement, the thesis statement that you have written, must be placed where the place of the thesis statement must be in the at the end of your introduction, and it indicates a plan of development. Why? Because you have the thesis statement, and if you remember last time we said that your thesis statement is your roadmap. It is the roadmap. It gives you directions What are you going to develop? What are you going to discuss in this essay, and so on? So your thesis statement is your roadmap. It is the most important sentence in your essay. Why? Because it directs you the way you are going to write about. The introduction here indicates a plan of development. In this preview, the major supporting points for the thesis are listed in order in which they will be presented. And if you remember last time I told you, we have two types of thesis statements. We have the direct thesis statement and we have indirect thesis statement. And I told you I'd like you to write a direct thesis statement, a direct thesis statement, right? Any questions, any comments so far? No questions, no comment? No questions?